Hello everyone, it's Angie here at Beads and Plenty More. Today I thought I'd show you a fairly simple earring. It's this guy here. We were kind of scouring the store looking for greenstones, thinking that St. Patrick's Day was coming up, and came up with this guy. It's actually an acrylic cabochon and it happens to have 3 holes in it. You could still do this same pattern with something like this as well. This is a metal piece, or I pulled a few other options that would also work. Some of these have a few extra rings on them, but you could either ignore the extra ring, or you can actually take wire cutters quite often and cut it off if you're not going to use it. So let's get started here and I'll show you what I've got going on. So I'll just set this one up here. So I've got 26 gauge wire, and what I've done is I've threaded up a bunch of beads. I've got some almost teardrop beads. I've got metal beads. These are 6mm fire polished beads. And then of course I've got my little plastic cabochon here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to secure these guys onto the cabochon by actually just taking the wire and wrapping it. So not even doing a fancy loop, just a simple wrapped loop. And I'm going to loop it through twice, because once will hold it, but twice gets it secure enough that you can walk away from it and know that it's going to stay. I'll just use my, so I want to pull everything good and tight in here. And one trick I've got is I like to actually just come in and squeeze down on that, make sure it's good and tight. Thought I was set up and I forgot the cutters. So just trimmed on the back side. I'm going to trim the extra off and just come in and make sure that end is tucked in. So we'll secure the other side and then we'll talk about the top. So it's nice to have this longer wire to be able to maneuver it. So I'm just making sure my beads are all sitting nice. And I often will pull a little bit when I'm trying to do a wrap. As I pull on the wire, I'm getting the wire pulling in tighter to the piece that I'm trying to wrap. So there we go. Trim my extra off. Tuck it. And then let's talk about the top. So again, I've got another piece of wire here. Just gonna thread it through that center. And this time I'll just bring my 2 ends up. And I'm just gonna put a twist above here. So 26 gauge wire, it's on the thinner side for what you could use. You could use a 24 gauge as well. The nice part about the thin wire is it's fairly easy to bend and so on, but one thing that you have to watch as if you're a beginner with wire is you don't want to squeeze too hard with the pliers when you're holding it, because you can actually squeeze through the wire and you'll end up breaking your wire. Okay, so we're going to take round nose pliers. And I'm actually going to do a wrapped loop at the top here. So I'm going to take it. Let's see if we can get this so that you can see it. And I'm going to hold with my pliers, and I'm folding. So I'm using the pliers just to hold. So this is where my wraps are going to end up at some point, right in that little space I left. Next part of this, I'm going to hold, and I want to come around this barrel. So it's going to come around. It's actually going to cross so you can see that the 2 wires aren't quite sitting side by side. Now if I just hook my little hook on, so you can use any type of hook that you like. I happen to have a lever back earring here. You could use a shepherd hook. If you need clip-ons, you can certainly use a clip-on. And then I'm going to hold across my loop. Again, this is about not squishing the wire. So if I use my round nose pliers, I have a better chance of squishing through the wire because I'll hold a little tighter. If I use my needle nose pliers, I don't hold quite as tight, and I distribute across that a little more so it doesn't squish it as much. So there we go. Trim the extra off. And sometimes you need to tuck the end in. So I can do that just by coming in. I talk about kind of massaging the bundle, so I'm working little squeezes all the way around until I get it to sit just right. And that's my earring done. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a good day.